let's dive right into this explainer by cracking open a massive historical mystery. Imagine writing one of the most wildly successful books of all time, and then writing a follow-up so provocative, so utterly controversial, that your own family decides to literally hide it away in a vault for over 70 decades. Well, today we're reading through the incredible insights hidden inside Napoleon Hill's long-lost manuscript, Outwitting the Devil.
And honestly, this is exactly where our read begins. Picture this. It's 1938. This original manuscript is typed out on a manual typewriter, and then it's just locked away for 72 years out of sheer fear. Hill's family was terrified. They had no idea how society, the church, or the educational systems of the 1930s would react to him, claiming he had literally interrogated and exposed the devil.
Now, what's really wild when you read through the text, which was finally published in 2011 and richly annotated by Sharon Lechter, is why they finally released it. The decision was made because its core message is perfectly suited for our modern times. As Lechter notes right there in the margins, much like Hill's original work helped people navigate the Great Depression, these pages are specifically designed to help us overcome our modern eras of deep economic uncertainty and personal doubt. Part 1. Awakening the Other Self. Reading through Hill's background, we can trace the roots of this work way back to 1908. That's when steel magnate Andrew Carnegie gave him this massive, almost impossible task: spend 20 years studying not just the world's most successful people, but also those who had failed miserably, just to discover the true causes of both. Hill accepted, of course, but despite some early flashes of success, like launching the Golden Rule magazine in 1918, his journey was incredibly rocky. By the autumn of 1923, Hill found himself stuck in Columbus, Ohio. He was absolutely broke, paralyzed by this devastating disease of indecision, and feeling like a complete fraud who couldn't even practice the success principles he was out there preaching to the world. So, pushed to the absolute brink of despair, Hill discovered exactly what Carnegie had hinted at years earlier: his other self. In the book, this is defined as an incredibly resilient, intangible inner power born strictly from hitting rock bottom. It's essentially an emergency response. It forces you to change your habits when temporary defeat leaves you with absolutely no other options. Part 2. Interviewing the Devil. Diving into the core of this interrogation, Hill puts the devil on the stand and demands to know exactly how he operates. And the response in the text is just fascinating. The devil candidly admits, hey, I don't use pitchforks or fire or brimstone. His most powerful weapon is far more subtle than that. He simply takes control of people's minds by quietly planting negative thoughts. He actually makes destructive actions and negative thinking feel pleasant. And right here is where we find the devil's absolute primary weapon, a concept Hill calls drifting or drifting. Drifting is basically the habit of letting your mind wander without any definite purpose. Reading the devil's claims in the manuscript, this simple lack of focus is so incredibly effective that it traps a staggering 98 out of 100 people. It slowly guides them into lives of total failure and misery, simply because they refuse to think for themselves. So, how exactly does someone become a drifter? Well, the book outlines that the devil silently enters our minds, often when we're very young actually, using specific mental traps. We're talking fear, superstition, greed, lust, revenge, anger, vanity, and laziness. By exploiting these super common human weaknesses, he wedges the door open and establishes that permanent habit of drifting. Now, once you start drifting, the text warns that you fall victim to a terrifying natural law Hill calls hypnotic rhythm. This is how the devil seals the deal. Hypnotic rhythm acts kind of like a whirlpool in a river. It takes your daily habits, whether they're good or bad, and over time permanently cements them into your character. So if your habit is drifting through fear and indecision, hypnotic rhythm locks that negative mindset in forever. As you read further, the book constantly contrasts two distinct mindsets. On one side, we have the drifter, someone easily controlled by fear, who constantly lets outside influences and negative emotions dictate their path. On the other side, we have the non-drifter. This person retains absolute, rigorous control of their own mind. They navigate life through faith and a highly definite purpose, making it practically impossible for the devil to ever gain a foothold. Part 3. The Principles of Success. Okay, so how do we actually break free from this? The devil confesses that there are 7 principles that allow humans to break his control. These 7 principles are literally the master keys to unlocking spiritual, mental, and economic freedom. And it all fundamentally starts with number 1, Definiteness of purpose. You absolutely must know exactly what you want out of life, or you will inevitably be swept away by those who do. Let's look a bit closer at the second principle in the book. When pressed about self-discipline, the devil reveals a really powerful truth. Mastering your own thoughts and emotions is the most destructive thing you can do to his control. If you lack mastery over yourself, particularly over your fears and desires, you suffer from the absolute most destructive form of drifting there is. And this leads directly into the third principle, learning from adversity. The devil admits in the text that failure is almost always just a temporary crisis, but it's a vital crisis. Why? Because it forces you to snap out of your hypnotic rhythm, free your mind from fear, and start fresh with a completely new plan. It's only a true failure if you accept it as permanent. So the biggest takeaway from reading this entire manuscript is a simple, profound truth confessed by the devil himself. The devil, meaning negativity, failure, and despair, simply cannot enter an active, positive mind that thinks for itself. The only power you truly have total, unquestionable control over is the power of your own thoughts. Let's wrap this up with a really powerful reflection inspired by Booker T. Washington, who is heavily cited in the source text. Washington said that a person's success shouldn't be judged by what they have achieved, but by the obstacles they've overcome to get there. So as we finish this explainer, I'll leave you with this question. Are you going to let fear cause you to drift through life? Or are you going to use your obstacles to awaken your other self and unlock your ultimate potential?